the 24 ACC's Team Race Championship at Largemont Yacht Club, and we are going to be live streaming the event from the water. So we are in racing, and there are two courses out here today, and we're just at the edge of the break wall, and there's not much wind, but it's enough for the racing. And the boats launched about 2 hours ago, and we are racing. There's one race just started with, I believe, Puerto Rico and a US team. It looks like Puerto Rico's approaching the top mark, 1-2, and they have the 3 or 4 as well. And it looks like Puerto Rico's winning 1-2-3, approaching this top mark. On the other course, we have, it looks like a Hampton team, and they are just rounding the reach mark, heading up to the finish. Looks like Hampton has the 1-2, and there's a red flag for Hampton, maybe? Yeah, it looks like the Hampton one got a red flag. These guys are approaching the top. They're approaching the finish. Hampton versus Cert is just approaching the finish now, and it looks like Cert has a 1-2 and possibly a 4, maybe. Hampton has 3 sailors cranking down on the Cert 20929, trying to slow him before the finish. Looks like Cert has gotten 1-2, so Hampton's only chance of winning is to put the other 2 Cert sailors in the 7A. So they're trying to do that. It looks like the Cert sailor finished in 4th, which means Cert wins that race. On the other side of the course, we have Puerto Rico and a US team coming down on the downwind right now. And Puerto Rico's 1, 2, 3, it looks like. if they finish 1, 2, 3, then they'll win the race. The first 3 there have just rounded the bottom reach and are about to head upwind towards the finish. We have 2 teams starting right now. I'm not sure who they are yet. So here Puerto Rico has rounded, their first 3 have rounded the bottom mark, and their goal on this upwind is to not cover each other and stay ahead by controlling the other teams. So looks like they had their second boat tack out while the first and third went straight, and then they've just been trying to stay in clear air to avoid any risk. Looks like the farthest right Puerto Rico boat is covering the other one. And it looks like Puerto Rico is most likely going to finish 1, 2, 3 and win. We have a race approaching the top mark right now. It looks like it might be Lysot, and I'm not sure who they're racing against. Looks like Lysot is 1, 2, and yeah, it looks like Lysot's 1, 2, and then the other team might have 6, 7, 8. It looks like Lysot is 1, 2, 5 or so. So Lysot's goal here is most likely to bump their 5th sailor up into 3rd or 4th to get in a stable combination before looks like Lysot just rounded 1, 2, 3, so they got 1 sailor up into the 3rd position, and now they are controlling and winning the race. Puerto Rico just finished, and they got 1, 2, 3, so Puerto Rico wins that race. And Lysot's heading downwind. We have to take a break, but we'll be back with more content in a few minutes.
Okay, something's happening here.
With the
Camera, the board, the everything. Okay, first let's bring back the drone so it doesn't fall out of the sky. I'm gonna take it to the bow, okay?
Okay. Should I stand on the side with it?
Yeah, just stay here until I land it.
Okay.
Okay, do you see a little screen on the thing? Is it showing CH dash no video? The transmitter. Yeah, it's not on. Okay, press the square. Yep. Still no video, huh? Okay, turn it off. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, turn it on. They're supposed to auto connect. Okay, I'm getting something. I'm getting something. Something's happening. Something is happening. I'm still reading no video though. What's your screen say? Channel 1. Channel 1. Okay, we got feed. We got feed. We got feed. Okay, no. Just hold it right there. Just turn the camera off. Leave the transmitter on. Okay, wait. Don't turn it off. Don't turn it off. Don't turn it off. Okay, on the back of the camera, there's a dial, and on the right-hand side it says DISP. No, not the top. On the back of the camera, there's a dial with a button. You see DISP? Yeah, hit that on the dial under DISP until it shows you a battery readout. 37, okay. That's not bad. That's not bad. We can work with that. Okay, I'm gonna go off audio. I'm trying to figure out the. Yeah, turn the camera off. I'm going off audio.
Alberto, do you want us to work on getting a GoPro on a boat? Or a coach?
Yeah, let's try to get some of that. The batteries are here.
Yes.
Find the battery that's charged. I don't think those charge very well.
Shut text him.
Who?
Steven Rod. He's on a boat. I'll give it to like half theirs. stop talking.
And since we're on break, when we come back, just make sure to. Oh, I'm not talking again.
Uh, 2024 ACCs. I'm Harrison Gandy,
And I'm Ryan Malloy.
and we're here with Opti TV to live stream the event. So we've had a lot of races out here so far. The sailors are doing well.
Yeah, one of the things I'd definitely say about, especially recently, race committee has been really getting the races off very efficiently. You know, with the 2 courses, you almost have 4 races going at once, which is amazing.
Yeah, and then so it looks like one core reef race just finished, and I think they have a couple teams, like 2 or 3 teams here. And then there's a race that's coming to the top mark here, and as we can see on the camera feed here, there's that race coming up to the top mark has a couple of boats in front and a couple behind. It looks like there's 2 USA teams there, and yeah.
Yeah, another 2 USA teams just finished up before we got live with their event.
It's a beautiful day here in Largemont, and the water temperature is still pretty cold, but luckily we got some sun, and it was supposed to rain, and we're happy that's not happening.
Yeah,
This week has not been great, but looks like we have a nice weekend for racing.
Yeah, it turned out to be a really good day here, which is surprisingly surprising. So hopefully it'll continue into today and tomorrow with the finals.
We have like 4 to 7 knots here, and the boats are definitely moving. There's a Puerto Rico team that they're racing a USA team, and it looks like they are 1, 2, 3 something. They're just at the finish here, and looks like they just finished. They're 1, 2 are about to finish, and then they're 3 and 4
Yeah,
are coming from the sides.
They might be able to get 1, 2, 3, 4 this race here. Really good showing from the Puerto Rican team.
Yeah, we've seen Puerto Rico ahead for most of the races they've sailed so far, and it looks like they're one of the strongest teams here for sure. On the other course, we have, I think, 3 races going on right now. One maybe just starting. There's one at the finish, I believe, and one just around the top mark. As we said before, these races have been going pretty quickly, and within 2 courses, we should be able to get a widespread amount of races here and determine a winner. Some waves coming into the harbor here, but for the most part, we're fine on Sea State, and yeah, hopefully the wind will build throughout the day. We're not sure what's supposed to happen there, but right now it's just enough for team racing, so we're happy about that. This morning we had to postpone an hour or so to get more wind, but now we are looking good with the wind. We have kids moving, luckily, and yeah, it's a great event so far.
Yeah, so far it's around 8 miles an hour gust up to 8 so far, and then going should stay relatively the same, if not dying a little bit in the afternoon.
Yeah. Hopefully we stay with wind for the sailors here. And people have come from all over the country. We have boats from Florida, boats from pretty much everywhere. What do you think has been evident today with the teams?
One of the things that's been definitely evident is the Puerto Rican team has definitely been dominating. In all the races, it looks like they're finishing 1, 2, if not 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So they've been really looking strong today. Wonder if anyone can beat them in the future.
Yeah, it'd be interesting for them to go against some other top teams as well. It looks like Surt has been sailing pretty well as well. I see them coming up 1, 2, 3 on this upwind here. They're looking like they're gonna finish this race 1, 2, 3 as well. And I know they've won most of their, if not all of their races so far. So, be interesting to see that matchup here. Coming around there, so close to shore, it gets shallow and that might be less current, but in the channel, it's pretty good.
And coming up short, we will bring you a little footage from our drone in just a moment.
Yeah, so we're gonna have the drone going up soon, and we will see how we see a new perspective on the racing. With the drone, some things that you can see really well are the positionings of boats, especially on the last upwind. Each team has like a specific way that they like to do the last upwind. Some boats tack out first, some boats tack out later, and it's actually a pretty important part of the race, especially when you're in a like close position, because it can be hard to balance your numbers and cover the boats from the other team. So that's something that we'll be able to see with the drone coming up shortly. And thanks for watching. We have at Largemont, we've just put most of our moorings in. I think about 10% still need to go in, but for the most part, we have them all in, and it's really cool to see all the bigger yachts behind the Optis. It's a cool place to sail. And the club has been great at accommodating the sailors and preparing for the regatta, so everyone appreciates that a lot.
Yeah, and a little shout out to all the volunteers. I know there's been a lot of volunteers at the hospitality desk, at the docks and everything, so shout out to them.
Yeah, we have, I think, like 70 lunches or something like that because of the volunteers. I'm going to step aside and let Ryan take it from here.
So here on the course now, looks like we have 2 USA teams just finished up on the course. Pretty tight race that just finished. But, especially today, it's definitely like been a little different with the conditions as it started out with a little postponement, but now we've gotten into some good breeze for T racing, a good amount. As you can see on your screen here, two teams in a race here heading downwind, going to the reach mark, it looks like. And so we'll see which ones they are. It looks like 2 USA boats out in front, having a 1-2 combo.
Later today, we're going to be able to see some footage from inside some sailors' boats, or maybe tomorrow, and that'll be really interesting because we can see the been some coaches' little cameras called GoPros that clip into the boat, and that is an interesting perspective to see.
Yeah, so as we can see here, the boat's first 2 round of the reach mark looks like 234 is going to be a little tight value. See if they set any mark traps. Looks like one of the boats in second place right now is setting up for one. Alright, or not. They're going to go. Most likely have a 1-2 here. Here's another angle of it at the mark.
Sometimes when you're setting up for a mark trap, and if you do something wrong, if you like overlay the mark or move too fast, it's usually better just to round and set up for the next mark, even if it would have been better to set a mark trap there, because you can lose a lot and get in legal problems.
Yeah, especially you know, in team racing, especially with optis, it's really important not to like try to like do too much to the point where you put yourself in a really bad spot for the rest of your team after the mark trap. So you really want to make sure you have a good position when you set that mark trap.
Yeah, I think these teams have been preparing for this event for a while now, and it looks like most of the sailors out here are really comfortable with these maneuvers. But within your team, a big aspect of team racing is the like planning who's gonna do what and when to do it, and having solid communication between the team.
Yeah, and in this race here, up towards the finish a little bit, we got a USA team holding the first 3 positions.
Yeah, it looks like AYC is 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3 in this race.
See that boat is going left to right.
And then it looks like we have maybe Cert 2, Cert second team that's behind a little bit. Looks like the top 3 from AYC are about to finish, and Cert seems to be in. They have the 7-8, and the 1, 2, 3 on AYC just finished, so it looks like AYC wins this race.
Yeah, so they'll win it with a 1, 2, 3, and most likely a 5, maybe a 6. But either way, they're gonna take this one and win it.
One thing to consider when you're team racing is you always want 3 sailors in the top 5. If you have 3 sailors in the top 5, pretty much unless you have 3, 4, 5, you're gonna be pretty much guaranteed a win, except for the 3, 4, 5 where you need to have the 6 as well. But yeah, so the goal for these sailors is to have 3 sailors in the top 5, and from there to work into stable combinations. Some of the most stable combinations are like 1, 2, 3, because you can just go away, run away from the rest of the fleet, and then your 4th sailor can work on slowing down other boats to keep them away from you, and then no one can come back and team race you. And then the 1, 2 can be good, but it's risky because if the other team is skilled enough to put your other 2 sailors in the 7-8, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, you can definitely see on the course here, there's teams playing that strategy, seeing how they are, if they want to speed the race up or slow it down. And I would say a very good job by most of the teams today with doing that.
Yeah, it's also important to think about timing, because some marks are better for different types of maneuvers, and you need to really think about when you react to something. Sometimes you need to react right away, and sometimes you need to give it a little space and wait for a strong mark so that you can have the highest % chance of. A huge shout out to all of the Largemont staff and the chairs of the event for putting on
year's race committee each individual race with the protest on the fly. So huge shout out to them as well.
Yeah, you see this wheels are crossing.
For
there?
sure. And
Are you gonna follow?
another thanks to the maintenance crew here for putting together this combination for us. They've been able to get us generators, boats, everything we've needed so far. So huge shout out to them.
And here coming up on this race here, we have the front pack, the leader, approaching the third mark here. See what he plays it in as he looks back into how he's doing with the rest of his team. Looks like he's gonna try to set up for a little mark trap here.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we see often in on the third mark. We saw how one boat was gonna set a mark trap and then the other boat split so that he couldn't get them, and then it forced the guy setting the mark trap to actually round the mark, and so it broke the mark trap.
Yeah, so really good job by that team there, avoiding that mark trap. They're in a very good spot here as they round the fourth mark, about to go upwind.
Yeah, it looks like the team with the gray pennies is 1, 2, 3 heading upwind. Or yeah, 1, 2, 3 heading upwind. So they're gonna try to hold the blue penny team back and make sure that they can't cross that 1, 2, 3. The responsibility of the gray team's fourth sailor here is to try to. They're in eighth right now, but if they could grab one boat and bring them back, so that it's harder to convert to a 7-8, that would be the most effective strategy.
Yeah, they look in a pretty good position here, but the blue penny team, team order 10, is close on their heels as we see the second team, the gray penny team, splitting up a little here on each side of the mark. See how each team plays it here coming upwind. As they're almost to the finish line, it still looks like the gray penny team, team owner 2, has the 1, 2, 3, a very stable combination here. As long as they can keep this up, they will be able to win. But
yeah,
see if any of the members on the 10th team, the blue penny blue penny team, can catch up to try to make this a little close. Doesn't appear though.
looks like the gray penny team is probably going to be taking the win here as their first 3 sailors cross the finish line. I'm not sure why the third gray team kid is cranking on the next blue boat, but I think it's unnecessary because they've already won the race. But yeah, so the fourth boat on the gray penny team was actually able to pass the 7th boat and become 7, and they should have held them back a bit, but it doesn't matter as it looks like the gray penny team
So
has finished first.
gray penny team, team number 2, has won with a 1, 2, 3, 7 combination, which is a winning combination. So they take that race against team number 10. As we have another race going on here at just rounding the first top mark. So a little battle that just finished up there. As they come into the second mark, looks like I think this team is Puerto Rico. One of their sailors is going up pretty high. See how they play this mark. But like the last race here, it was it's a very close race here. Going into the second, I expect some separation at the second mark and going downwind, but we'll see how it happens.
Yeah, we're really excited about this event. This is the first time that we've done the team race ACCs at all in the U.S. And I think team racing is a really important part about sailing, Optis especially. And I think it teaches the kids a lot of skills that they wouldn't usually learn outside of team racing. So I'm really pleased that we're able to add another team racing event besides just our usual nationals and midwinters.
So yeah, looking at the results here from today, looks like AYC Gold and Cert Blue are both in first place in each of their matches, as well as Lightsot Black. So here coming down to the second mark, the teams looks like there's in a little battle towards the back of the pack. Looks like one of the USA members got flagged for a penalty here.
Yeah,
So that's gonna set them back in the eighth.
This is Lysot actually. So this Puerto Rico Lysot race should be interesting. Puerto Rico looks like they have 1-2, but there's a Lysot sailor in third. So we'll see how this race ends up. It looks like we have one Puerto Rico sailor and one Lysot sailor that's behind. So that's interesting to look at because it balances the numbers a little bit. And Lysot is one of the top 3 teams right now, and Puerto Rico is in sixth. So if Puerto Rico beats Lysot here, then they might be able to get closer to the top teams.
Yeah. So if Puerto Rico wins this, they'll be pushed into second, or into third at least. And so this would be a very massive win for them if they are able to win this, knocking off one of the top teams.
It looks like Puerto Rico, they've just rounded the third mark, and it looks like we have Puerto Rico in a 1-2, and then Lysot in a 3-4-5, 7. So Lysot needs to turn that into a 3-4-5-6 to be able to be winning this race. It looks like Lysot just did that, and now they're 3-4-5-6. So Lysot is currently winning, but neither team is in a stable combination, and there's a lot of risk at this position.
Yeah.
Looks like the Puerto Rico boat just passed 2 Lysot boats, and now Lysot is looks like 2, 3, 4, maybe still 5, 6 actually. Looks like a Lysot boat just messed up the Puerto Rico boat and put them behind. So Puerto Rico is
it a one? Looks like 1-4 here, 1-4-5, and then 8.
Oh yeah, another Puerto Rico sailor came forward now, and it looks like they have they've stepped up into a 1-2-5.
Yeah, but very tight, so that 5 could change for
Yeah.
better or worse here. Very tight race coming to this last mark here.
It looks like now it's a 1-2-3-4. I mean 1-2-4.
So the first Puerto Rican finisher has crossed the line, so they do have a 1. But we will see what happens with the rest of the race. It looks like they're in Puerto Rico is currently in a 1-2-4 or 1-3-4, depending on how this race goes. But we're really crowded up top at the finish here. See how this happens or plays out.
It looks like Lysot's trying to hold the Puerto Rico sailor out, and it looks like Lysot 17807 is holding them out, but Puerto Rico just crossed the line 1-2-3, so it looks like a Puerto Rico win in this race.
Yeah, so they have a 1-2-3, which is a massive win for them, as that'll put them way up in the rankings for this division here.
Yeah, now Lysot needs to come back a little bit because they're now 2 wins and 1 loss, so they're actually tied with Puerto Rico.
But Puerto Rico will have the head-to-head record over them, at least for now, as they have taken this one here. So here up on the course, you got a race going up on heading up to the second mark here. 2 sailors have already crossed there, and we got a little jam up at the second, but we'll see what happens here on the downwind, what
we have a coral reef team here, and I'm not sure what the other team is yet.
This one plays out as it looks like someone gets penalized for the CRYC team, which are sitting at 1 win and 1 loss. So we will see how that plays out. So it looks like going into this, the top three, or looks like the one of the teams here, based off of their pinnings, has 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I believe that's the coral reef team.
Yeah, and they're pulling away with this as they're almost rounding the 4th mark here, as no one else has run away or has come within or this hasn't ran or passed the 3rd mark. But the other team here, they are bunched up a little bit.
Yeah, now we're looking at that drone perspective as we talked about before, on how we can see their positioning with each other and how they're thinking about organizing themselves coming into the marks and coming into the finish. These 4 boats are gonna that are behind the rest of the race are gonna be pretty unimportant in the result, because the top 3 are actually pretty confidently in 1, 2, 3 approaching the finish. So even though they're fighting in the back, it doesn't seem to be necessary. Now I can see it looks like they're sailing against surf coral reef here. So coral reef veteran, I believe, is, or Spectrum maybe, is looking to win this race and move up a little in the rankings. Spectre is currently in 5th, so they'll probably move up a fair bit after this one.
Well, right now they're actually tied for 4th with a bunch of other teams. A massive tie with majority of the boats here tied for 5th,
including Puerto Rico as well. So them in Puerto Rico will probably be moving up, and they'll stay in the tie, and maybe those other teams will fall back.
Yeah.
We have some clouds here now, so less sun now, but it's still pretty warm for the beginning of the season. This winter it was cold, but now looks like we've turned the seasons, and it's a great day to be in Larchmont. The water's still cold though, so that's something that can get sailors if they're not focusing on how they dress and such, because it seems to be a very warm day, but if you fall in the water or if you get splashed, you're gonna be chilly.
Definitely cold. And just a quick check on the tides. It's gonna become low tide in a little bit here. Low tide is gonna be around 2:55 p.m. And so we'll see how that factors out, as the water will be going out of the breakwall, pushing the teams further towards the edge of the harbor as they start, which will most likely be towards the pin when they start.
Yeah, it looks like there's a team starting right now, and it looks like shortly. For now, there's one team that's just rounding the 2nd mark, and that's the only team on the 1st course here. The course closer to the other shore is gonna have a different effect current-wise coming into low tide, because there's rocks and such over there that can create current patterns and can confuse kids.
Yeah, especially here most sailors might not know a lot about, the grounds here or the water here. One of the rocks that has popped up on there only is visible at low tide, so we'll see. So like I don't think they would know that before coming here, especially or even in this morning at high tide. So we'll see definitely how like that affects them, and see if the LIC kids racing over there will have a little bit of advantage on like sailing on home waters in a little bit of a trickier spot.
Yeah. So it looks like they might be taking a little bit of a break as there's, or maybe something happened with the start because there's a lot of teams on the coach boat and only one team racing right now. As we said, the race committee's been moving pretty quickly today, so that's good. And the wind direction is pretty steady as well. So that's also good to avoid big shifts and changes in the course.
Yeah, so here on the course towards the breakwall up here, there are a few boats surrounding Mark III. Really, really tight over here. But while the camera, I believe, is still on the lower course. So as you can see, the pack going up on the lower course up here. But just do a little check-in on the upper course. It is still a very, very tight race. One of the teams just got penalized, so we'll see how that affects them. But it's a really tight race up here in the top course.
Yeah, we have our Opti TV crew coming from Miami, and then me and Ryan here today to help out with production. And luckily, Alberto was able to bring all of the gear we need out, so we should be able to put on a good show for the next 2 days.
Yeah, and so the teams racing up on the top course right now are FYC Gold and Hampton Yacht Club, which are both sitting at one race won and one race lost. So this is definitely a very important race for them here, as it looks like Hampton Yacht Club has the 1, 2, 3, as was a close race earlier, but they might actually even have the 1, 2, 3, 4. So very, very stable combination for them right up here. And they should be able to get this win up here on the last leg. So coming into the line now, Hampton Yacht Club looks like they're rounding the third mark or second mark here. As you can see, they're near some of the member boats there. Definitely closer in to the break, or towards closer in to some boats more than on the upper course up here. There's are back at their coach boats, and as Hampton Yacht Club just won their race up on the top course here. So quick little check on the results as they have been updated after 2 races. This might not be updated to live, but as I think teams have sailed the third race, we'll see how they change it in the coming. But in the Course A, Gold Fleet, AYC Gold, Cert Blue, Lysot Black are all tied for first with winning every single race that they have sailed. In Course B, the Silver Fleet, KBYC is in first, or tied with Cert, so tied with Hampton Yacht Club 2. The hometown team here, Larchmont, is tied for fourth here, as they have won 1 race and lost 1 race as well. as you can see, I don't think there's a ton of racing going on. They could be taking a little break here, but we will continue to broadcast here anyway. Some of the things that have definitely played a factor today, I would say definitely for the Long Island Sound teams, you know, racing here, it's a lot more familiar, which will help some of the further teams, like the teams from uh, from Puerto Rico. Definitely have to adjust a little bit to here. Usually Long Island Sound, it has a lot lighter breeze, but it is still May, so we usually get a little bit more breeze in May than in August around here. Hopefully soon we should be getting more drone footage as we're launching a drone off the back of our boat now. We're taking it. But we'll see if we can get another one up there soon. I think there's actually one race going on up here, coming into the finish line up here. I think they're starting to send races off as there's also another race going up to the first mark here. But the teams here, team number 1, which is AYC Gold, which have been dominant today, have a 1, 2, 3, and then they might have a 3 or a 4 tight battle as they go on each sides of the course for each side of the
Yeah.
course going up here on the upwind.
We have to charge some drone batteries, so we're not going to have that for another 15 minutes, and I think we're going to take a little break here on commentary as well. But we will be back to you shortly. We're back here at the 2024 ACC's championship, and we're almost done with racing for the day, but there's still some more that's going to happen, and it'll be interesting to see the outcomes of the race. Ryan, could you give us the updated results on the racing?
Here in the gold fleet, they're almost done with racing. They got about one more cycle left. And in the silver fleet, they have about 2 more cycles left. The updated results are with what's that?
Cert Blue.
Yeah, Cert Blue, and AYC Gold. Also both in tied for first place, as they have won all of the races they have been in. And then in the silver fleet, Cert Dynema is in first place, and Lysot is in second place. Out on the water now, we got a race going on between the 9 and 1 teams, which are AYC Gold, which is in first place, and Hampton Yacht Club, which is tied for third. Right, and if Hampton would win this race here, they would become they would get to first place. Actually,
Yeah, I think they're racing right behind us here, and it looks like it's a pretty tight race, but Hampton's just finished their race actually.
Yeah.
And it looked like a pretty tight finish. So I'm not sure what the outcome of that was, but that'll be important for them. And
AYC Gold and team number 7, which is CRYC Vectron. So they CRYC is they've sailed 3 races and they've won 1, so they are in 8th place. They're in 8th place, but tied with a bunch of teams for 8th place, so getting a win would definitely help them in the leaderboard rankings.
yeah, we've had a little decrease in wind here. It looks like now we're more in the 5 knot range and a little flatter on the water as well. So it's interesting to see how different people might have adjusted for that and how it's affecting the racing. Now the lighter people are going to be more valuable and more of an asset in the races because they'll be able to shoot ahead in the beginning and maybe cause the rest of the race to go more smoothly for their team because they already have some high numbers and there's not risk of losing count and balance with the other team.
So far, each the gold fleet and the silver fleet have rankings, as both teams are tied both teams are tied for 10th. So they're both not doing too great, but that'll definitely help CRYC there.
And there'll probably be not too much current, and then the current will start coming out and pushing into the sound once the tide starts going up again. So it's important for the teams to consider that, and it'll cause them to have longer downwinds and shorter upwinds. So that'll be interesting to see, especially on the mark traps on that 3rd mark. The wind direction is pretty nice today. It's coming from offshore, so it
nice little southerly.
Should be pretty steady. And we're getting a little more sun than we had prior to race, like our gold and silver stuff. So this is good.
And as the forecast calls, it might die down for a little bit, but then it might also pick up. But I don't think we'll be out racing by the time, so it might die, but it might also just stay the same here, where there's just enough breeze to get some races off. Not a ton of wind, but then it just makes tactics all the more important here. So as the top of the course, rounding Mark 2, there's a race up here in the Gold Fleet. Going downwind, so our view here isn't too good of which teams are which, but it is a very tight race. They're all pretty much bunched up together.
Yeah, we see one boat that's pretty far ahead, and then the rest of the fleet is bunched up. So the boat that's pretty far ahead should probably wait down at that mark to reconnect with their team and be able to help if something goes wrong.
So yeah, they're probably, let's see what they do around this third mark, as they have a massive lead over everyone else. But
yeah,
also
even you would think that it would be good to have a massive lead, but in team racing, unless you're with other teammates, you can't really help and you can't really affect the race from your position, so it's actually not very helpful for your team.
I can't see the numbers yet, but looking at the pinnings, they might actually have a 1, 2, 3, so they might just want to go full speed up the course here. But there is a big pack behind the third boat, so we'll see how they play it.
Yeah, it looks to be a 1, 2, 3 for team 10 maybe. Yeah, I think team 10 it looks like.
Which is,
and
JK Sailing Blue.
Yeah, and then the other team is probably trying to catch up to that 1, 2, 3, and it looks like they actually got around the third boat at the mark potentially. So we'll see how that plays out, but it's really crowded there at the mark, and there's a lot of boat-on-boat situations happening there.
Two boats have sort of separated. If I were them, I would definitely go back to help their teammates, but we will see how they play this as they're racing. But still, a big jam with everything going from all the going from the third to the fourth mark. Looks like someone just got penalized, so that'll set their team back a little bit. But still, JK Sailing Blue is looking for their first win, actually, of the day here, which they might be able to get it as long as they play it. They do have a 1-2, not super stable, but it is a pretty good combination here. And they might actually have the 3 as well. As they round the third mark here.
All these teams are trying to battle it out and towards the goal of getting into the finals, which will be tomorrow. And they go through the process of quarterfinals, semifinals, and then finals. And the teams that keep winning through that process end up in the finals, which is the last 2 teams, and that determines the winner of the event. So,
and that will be broadcasted also on live Opti TV tomorrow. So you definitely want to stay around for that.
Yeah, that'll be very intense probably, because we'll have our top teams going against each other, especially the finals, because then it'll be the top 2 teams of the event going against each other and duking it out for the final result.
So yeah, so on the course up here towards the break wall, which is the Gold Fleet, teams 10 and 4 are battling it out. Team 10 is JK Sailing Blue, and Team 4 is Cert Gray. Both teams actually have not won a race yet today, so either or one of them will get their first one of the day here. It looks like JK Sailing Blue will get it, as they have at least a 1-2. It might be a 1-2-3 finishing here, so we will see how that goes.
Yeah, if JK gets this race, it'll probably move them up pretty nicely in the results. And so this is one that they're going to want to win, seeing as it's against CERT, who's one of the top teams right now. And it looks like the first JK Sailor is finished, and the second two are about to finish, and it looks like second one just finished, and the third one just finished as well. So that will move them up into more centered in the fleet.
Yeah, so if they get a win here, which they most likely will, it'll push them from tied with 13th with the team they're facing right now, Cert Gray, not to be confused with Cert Blue, which is tied for in second place here. They will be pushed up all the way to 10th from 13th, so that'll definitely help them a little bit if they try to make a run here. They get a lot more races today to make the cut for the next round. We'll see how it goes.
On the downwind, we have a race, and it looks to be Cert Blue against Coral Reef Spectra, it seems. And Coral Reef has a 1-2-3 right now, and Cert is pretty far behind, so it looks like most likely a Coral Reef win, but we'll see how it goes in the last up win.
Yeah, there is still a little bit. There's a lot of course left, so we'll see how that plays out for them. But yeah, they're definitely looking really good going towards that fourth mark. They got one sailor pretty far ahead, and they do have a 1-2-3 that are ahead of the rest of the pack, which is pretty good. So we'll see where that takes them.
Yep. And then we have a team that just started. It seems to be Puerto Rico versus, I think it's Puerto Rico 1 versus Puerto Rico 2. So this will be an interesting race to watch and see how that outcomes.
Both Puerto Rican teams are tied for third, or for second. So one of them will move up and one of them will move down a little bit. There are a bunch of teams tied for second. There are 5 teams tied for second right now. So we will see how that plays out.
We're looking at our drone feed here on the Puerto Rico race, and it looks like the fleet is fairly spread out, and there's a pretty clear top 4 at the mark, top 5, and then the rest are a little behind. It's hard to tell because they're both Puerto Rico, which team is which, but it looks like it's a really close race.
So yeah, and then right after the 2 Puerto Rican teams face, the 2 Lysot teams will also face, which is also a little coincidence, but they're almost done with their 5th cycle here on the gold fleet, and on the silver fleet they're also almost done with their 5th fleet, or cycle. So we'll see how that plays out and everything.
Coral Reef, it looks like they're pretty comfortably finishing 1-2-3, and so they'll take that win against Cert Blue, which will move them up because Cert Blue is currently beating them, and Cert Blue is currently tied for second. So
yeah, so it'll move them up to 4 wins and then 5 races total sailed. So that means they will be the lone team for second. Now they will also be joined by whichever Puerto Rican team wins their race that they are racing now, and the only number 1 team now is AYC Gold, which they have not lost 1 race yet. So that is really amazing. After sailing 4 races already today, they have not lost a single one. So really looking dominant with them. And same with Coral Reef Dyneema. For the silver division fleet, they have also not lost a race So those two teams looking really good.
Yeah, it looks like um, our tied for second teams right now are Cert Blue, who's gonna move down after they were beat by CRYC Spectra. But our teams that are tied for second are Cert Blue, Puerto Rico 1, Lysop Black, Puerto Rico 2, Hampton 1, and then we have CRYC Spectra, Lysop Gold, and AYC Red tied for third. So it's interesting to see how these teams play out. It looks like Puerto Rico is having their race right now to see which Puerto Rico team actually moves up and down, and Lysop Black is racing Lysop Gold, and so it'll be interesting to see the outcome of that and how that affects them. And we have the Cert Blue that just lost, so CRYC Spectra will be moving up and Cert Blue will be moving down from that tie.
So yeah, I think they will. Then both of those teams will be tied, but then Spectra will have the advantage. But then one of the things definitely to keep an eye on here, especially as the results are very close going into the final or towards the end of racing today, is the head-to-head record, which definitely could have a difference on the impact. As we can see here, like they have individual places with Cert Blue being in front of Puerto Rico 1, even though they have the same record. I think their head-to-head record might have something to do with that on the live result feed.
Yeah, we have Puerto Rico coming up on the upwind, and it looks like the Puerto Rico 1 Team 13 might have 1, 2, 3 here.
Yeah, so Team 13 is Puerto Rico 1, which you also see. So that will also help.
Yeah, so looks like Team 13, Puerto Rico 1 will be moving up, and Puerto Rico 2 will be moving down.
Yeah, both Puerto Rican teams doing very well in this. Obviously, one will move up, one will move down after this race, as we have said. A few horns behind us from a spectator boat. But, so yeah. But, awesome day of racing today. Very tactical with the light breeze, but it's also good for team racing. You know, a lot of opportunities to make a lot of moves and everything. So that's also a really nice thing that we have here today.
Sometimes it's interesting to race against one of your fellow teams from your club, because you understand what their strengths and weaknesses are, so you really have to adapt accordingly, and each team knows exactly where they need to be and which sailor needs to be guarding which sailor on the opposing team. So sometimes those races can actually be the most interesting of all of them, to see how these teams can duke it out.
Yeah, racing, your teammates, it's definitely a little different, as you definitely, you know them both on and off the water, training with them a lot, especially the Puerto Rican team, as they've traveled very far for this event. They've both most likely have traveled together, so they definitely, I assume, would have a close bond. So it can be a little fun to race your own team, in my experiences. So
yeah, and then our drone just came down, but we'll get it back up shortly, hopefully, and then we will be commentating from the ground here while we're waiting for the drone. And we have Puerto Rico 1 that just finished 1, 2, 3, so that's a confirmed win for them. And then there's a bit of waves coming in here. I'm not sure if it's boat shop. Seems to be.
Yeah, it seems to be, as the water ahead is a little flat. Some big rollers here coming out of the channel here, as we're right next to the channel, so
that can affect mark traps a lot as well. If a team is in a mark trap and some unexpected element such as waves comes through, it can be really hard to readapt to the mark trap, and it can make it so that you have to abandon it.
Yeah, I've definitely had that happen to me where, you know, you get like a big mega yacht or something come through. Not so much here at Larchmont, but you might get it out towards the sound, and, you know, over time those big rollers come through and you got to readjust really quick, especially if, like, you don't have a lot of time to set that mark trap. So it can be definitely a challenge for the sailors, especially in Optis.
Yep. It looks like we have our 2 LISOT teams just rounding the top mark here. I can't tell which team is leading, but we have a big clump of boats, and that should be a close race. Once again, another race where we have 2 teams from the same club who are racing each other.
So yeah, the team numbers are for LISOT Black is team 11, and for LISOT Gold is team 12. LISOT Black is doing a little bit better than LISOT Gold. They have 1 more win, and then LISOT Gold or Black is also tied for second. So we'll see how that goes. As you can see now here on the water, those are the LISOT teams, or that's the Puerto Rican teams that just finished. But behind that, hopefully we'll be able to see the LISOT teams coming down as they just started their downwind leg, as you can see there on the screen.
Yeah, it looks to be a very close race between them. Our first 2 boats seem to both be from one team. I'm not sure.
Yeah, from our angle here, it's a little hard to see the numbers on a downwind.
Yeah.
But
it looks like both of the first 2 boats might be from LISOT Gold, actually.
so that would be good for
this would be a big win for them.
yeah, which would put them in front with their head-to-head record against LISOT Black, but it would move LISOT Black down a little bit. So either one team will definitely move up, and then another team will lose. And, you know, as a coach, that might be a little hard to, you know, especially, you know, your team that's doing better in LISOT Black, if they keeps up this way, they might lose. But yeah, as we look as they're setting up a mark trap here down by the, oh no, that's a Puerto Rican boat that looked, it was near the course.
Yeah, it looks like the first 2 LISOT Gold boats are looking up and looking back at the rest of the fleet to see what they're gonna do, because there's a huge clump in the back, and LISOT Gold is trying to convert into a winning combination.
So yeah, here you see our drone footage. We just launched another drone. The battery had to get charged a little bit. So pretty tight race, 2 leaders, but they are, you know, coming down to the mark and holding back a little bit. So it should be really tight around this last mark. A lot of traffic. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we can see those last 5 boats are really duking it out, and it looks like
your screen as you see all those Optis. They're really crowding around. Excellent shot from our drone footage. You really get to see all the things as we're about to switch a camera angle. There you can see more of an on-water view of what's really going on. It is really tight around that mark. A lot of sailors, except for one who looks like he's broken out, that is just waiting for someone over at that 4th mark from LISOT Gold, I believe.
It would seem getting around, and it seems that we have a much more compacted race, but there's one LISOT Gold sailor who's definitely ahead.
But he is looking back.
He's looking back, and he might be concerned for the rest of his team. Looks like he's waiting at the 4th mark here for the rest of the fleet, and it looks like second might still be Lysot Gold, but I think Lysot Gold also has the 7.8, so for them that's not a great place to be.
So yeah, we'll see how this turns out.
It looks like Lysot Gold setting a mark trap here, and the second boat is really reacting to this trouble and is trying to turn this into a situation that can be turned around and keep them in a winning combination.
So
It looks
yeah,
like
so-
a Lysot Black sailor just took out 2 Lysot Gold sailors and put them both behind.
Really good execution on that mark.
Yeah,
trap
very
there.
good execution. He came from behind and was able to jibe around the second boat actually and bring her all the way back, and now she's spinning and she's in behind. So now Lysot Gold has the 7.8 and 6.78 actually, and Lysot Black has the 1, 2, 3, 4 potentially actually.
Yeah, and there are a few of them sticking with that one Lysot Gold, who is up at the front. One's kind of covering him right now for Lysot Black, but we will see how that goes as Lysot Black is looking really solid as they come up to the finish line right here.
Yeah, the way Lysot Black was able to turn around that race is impressive because it's a very hard situation to be in from a 3, 4, 5, 6 position. So, very good execution from that one boat on the 4th mark, and pretty much all around that was a pretty good execution of trying to get themselves back ahead.
So yeah, it coming up to the mark, it is a little bit closer, but mostly Lysot Black is in front. Lysot Gold does have a 6, 7, 8 position, if I'm correct.
5, 6, 7, 8.
5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so even worse. So it's not looking too good for them right now. But it is, their 5 boat is getting a little bit closer, but the 6, 7, 8 are really nowhere near the pack. So it should be an easy victory for Lysot Black, as their first sailor is about to cross the boat or the finish line. That little motorboat with the blue flag there on the edge of your screen as we switch to drone footage.
And it looks like all of our Lysot Black boats have finished, and it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 victory for Lysot Black.
So yeah, really impressive. It didn't look like it would be a 1, 2, 3, 4 victory for Lysot Black. At times there are definitely parts where you think Lysot Gold would win that, but they really turned that around and really executed that really perfectly to get a 1, 2, 3 victory, or 1, 2, 3, 4 victory, which that was really impressive.
Yeah, I think we're running out of races for today, but
yeah. It's almost 3 o'clock now, and I know towards 4:30 or 5 or whenever the sailors get in, I think there's a birdie ceremony later in the day on land. We'll see what happens with that. I think I'm actually involved in that as well, so see what I have to do there. Another shout out, as it looks like there might not be any more races on the top course, as I think they have finished their cycle. But another shout out to our volunteers, and also for like the race committees and all the coaches that came here. Thank you so much for all the coaches and everything.
yeah, huge thanks to the Largemont staff too for putting this together for us and getting us out here on Satan's Toe for live streaming and commentary on the racing for today and tomorrow.
So after 28 races, I don't think they've updated the results, but we should be getting an update soon, as the teams have. Looks like there's really no more racing going on the top course here. There is still a little bit of action going on down on the gray, or the Silver Fleet. So
Silver Fleet has some races still going on, but for the Gold Fleet, that's pretty much all that's gonna happen today. Down here in the screen you can see the Silver Fleet course, which is still looking pretty busy, but it looks like the Gold Fleet teams are starting to get ready to head in.
So yeah, on the form that they have for the published results, we're still rating on 3 results for the Puerto Rico teams race, the Lights Off teams race, and the AYC Red versus a Cert Red race as well. So we will see when we get those results in, and hopefully when we get those results, I will be able to broadcast those and give you guys an update.
Yeah, we'll be taking a little break here, but we'll be back to you most likely tomorrow with the next day of racing and the finals and everything. How do you think the day has gone, and what do you think has been evident in the performance of the top teams today?
Well, I mean, especially AYC Gold being dominant the whole way in the Gold Fleet, and also CRYC Dynema, who, they were 4 for 4 on winning the races, but then unfortunately they did lose they lost their last race of the day. So in the Silver Fleet, they're tied with Hampton Yacht Club and Lightsaw for first. And then also in the Gold Fleet, the only undefeated team. We'll see if this changes with the results, but AYC Gold is still undefeated at the moment for our results. They haven't posted the 5th results yet, but they have been really dominant all throughout today, especially in the races that have been against better teams, holding that #1 spot and #1 overall in both fleets, the Silver Fleet and the Gold Fleet.
Yeah,
so.
Congrats to AYC Gold for a top performance today, and we had a lot of ties and a lot of moving up and moving down. So good job to all the teams here today, and it looks like it's going to be a close regatta entering the last day, and it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out from there. We have a lot of top teams here, and it's really exciting to get all this competition for our first AYC team race in the US. Thank you.